Hello, it's Azalea with Izzy's by Azalea, and today we have a fun video. We are going to be taking some terms that you may see on a crochet pattern and showing what these terms mean. Now these are just simple terms to start off with, and we'll use this swatch here to see what they mean. To start off, you may see back loop on a pattern. Now what does that mean? Now if you're looking at the row below and you hold it up, you should see two loops. The one furthest from you is considered the back loop. The one closest to you is the front loop. So a pattern may say single crochet in the back loop only. That would mean you're only picking up this back loop. If the pattern says to work in the front loop only, you're only picking up the front loop. Now, what if it mentions a post? A lot of times I've seen it mention post once you've worked a row of double crochets. So here we see a row of double crochets, and if we stretch it a little, we see how it makes a post. Working in the back post means that you're going to turn your work over and you're going to work from right to left into the back post. Now front post would mean you're looking at your work head on or face on, or from the front, and you're going to insert from right to left into the front post. So that would be a front post. So back post, you're looking at the back of your work. Front post, you're looking at the front of your work. Now, what if you're working and it says to chain while you're working? So I'll make a double crochet and it may say chain one. You would just make a chain. Okay? Now a lot of times when you're chaining, it's going to have you skip so many stitches. So let's say I just chained one and it's going to say skip the next stitch. This is the next stitch. I would skip it and let's double crochet in the next. So again, skip the next stitch, chain one, skip the next stitch, double crochet. One more time, chain one, skip the next stitch. Now, what we just did in that process was create a chain space. So this would be considered a chain one space. So let's say we finished the remaining stitches and we've turned our work. Our pattern may have us work into the chain spaces. So let's go ahead and finish this row of double crochet, and we'll come back and see how we work in those chain spaces. Okay, so now I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to start off with an extended single crochet. And I'll double crochet back to our spaces. again, while I'm doing this, to make sure it was on the camera good, I'll restate what I did before. A back loop and a front loop. Hopefully you can see that well. The back loop is the loop furthest from you. The front loop is the loop closest to you. Back loop, front loop. Then for the post, we see how the double crochet makes a nice post. Back post would be looking at the post from the back of your work. Front post would be looking at the post from the front. So let's continue now to see our chain space. All right, so we've come to our first chain space. So your pattern may say double crochet inside of the chain 1 space. So right inside of that space, not going through any loops, but just right in that space, we would double crochet. So here we have a double crochet stitch. So we would just go through the loops there. But here's a chain 1 space. So whatever our pattern tells us to do in that space, that's what we'd want to do. There you have it. Now another abbreviation may be place marker, or PM. That simply means take a stitch marker. Here's one variety, there's many different varieties, and place it into the stitch that it tells you to place it, just to mark it. Another abbreviation could be yarn over, or YO. That simply means yarn over. Yarn over. Very nice. So just some simple abbreviations and different ways. We see how skipping a stitch makes a little hole here. What it looks like when you stitch inside of a chain space. So fun ways. You could even make your own pattern using some of those.